Hey, this is Brian Webb. I serve as the Area Director for Pacific Oceania with the Assemblies of God World Missions. Years ago, I heard this statistic that for every 100 people who publicly indicated a desire to serve as a missionary, only one would actually serve. That's pretty shocking. I'm sure there are a multitude of reasons. I think one key issue is that people don't know where to start. Becoming a missionary is a monumental, life-altering decision. It affects every part of your life, and frankly, just the immensity of it can be paralyzing. So how do you make such a massive change in your life? The same way you eat an elephant. Take one bite at a time. Or in this case, you take one step at a time. Today I want to talk with you about the steps to becoming a missionary. For most people, becoming a missionary will start with a short-term visit to the country they feel God is calling them to serve. In the Pacific, we call these feet-wet opportunities. A feet-wet opportunity can be anything from 2 weeks to 11 months. And while feet-wet opportunities feature meaningful ministry, the focus is less on what you will do during your visit and more on what you can learn. The driving question is this where and how God wants me to serve? A feet-wet opportunity is a type of fast. You're separating yourself from your extended family, your friends, your homeland, and the normal flow of life. For a predetermined period, you're choosing to set aside the distractions of your life in order to hear from God. It is a very intentional time of seeking God in His direction. And the more seriously that you take this fast, the more meaningful your feet-wet opportunity will be. So, who can participate in a feet-wet opportunity? You need to be 18 years old, be a fully committed follower of Jesus Christ, have a solid recommendation from your pastor, and display a desire to serve God and others. You'll need to be in sufficient health for the context, understanding that not all countries offer the same level of medical care as is available in the United States. What will your feet-wet opportunity look like? With 23 countries, 30,000 islands, Pacific Oceania offers a kaleidoscope of customizable feet-wet opportunities. You could trek into the jungle with missionaries planting churches in unreached tribes. You could assist a missionary training pastors at a Bible school. You could work alongside a church planter establishing a new church. You could follow a medical provider as they display the love of Christ in a very tangible way. Help a missionary with construction of a church, a school, a clinic, or a Bible school. Serve as a teacher's assistant in a modern town school or in a remote village. You could walk alongside a missionary engaged in children's ministry, provide care for orphans, help drill a water well, install water filters. I could go on and on. So how do you get started with a feet-wet opportunity? It starts with a conversation. Reach out to myself or the missionary you would like to visit. Often we can arrange for a phone or a video interview to get to know you a bit, determine if you are a good fit for the opportunity that you're interested in, and see if it would be possible to arrange a feet-wet opportunity considering both yours and the host missionary's schedule. You will need an invitation by the missionary serving on the field that you want to visit. So, how does a person apply for a feet-wet opportunity? Well, following your conversation with myself or with your host missionary, you'll be directed to an online application portal. The application for feet-wet opportunities is very simple. There's a one-time $25 application fee. Of course, the question is, how much will a feet-wet opportunity cost? Well, the cost of your visit will be determined by the country that you choose to visit, the length of your stay, and your tolerance for rustic living conditions. Multi-country opportunities are more expensive than single-country opportunities, but they provide a broader and a more nuanced view of service as a missionary. The basic rule of thumb is it'll cost you $2,000 in airfare and $50 a day for a feet wet opportunity in the Pacific. Typically, for stays of a month or longer, there's a significant decrease in the daily cost. Your missionary will develop a budget for you that you must raise before beginning your feet wet opportunity. The real question here isn't where or how you would serve, and it's not how much is this going to cost. No. The real question here is God calling you to serve as a missionary? If you feel an interest, but you don't have certainty as to where God is calling you or if God is calling you, a feet wet opportunity is a great way to find some clarity. When people join me for a feet wet opportunity, I tell them there's two possible outcomes. One, after their visit, they pack their bag and say, I know God is calling me to serve here. I'm ready to take the next step. The second is that person who packs up their bag and says, nope, God isn't calling me to do this. Either one is a win. Why? Because the purpose of a feet wet opportunity is to set aside some time to hear from God. It's to resolve the question, is this what God is calling me to do? Are you interested? Send me an email. Send me a Facebook message. I would love to have a conversation with you about feet wet opportunities in the Pacific.